Jaron Boots Ennis and his whole team got a message for Terence Crawford. Before we get into this next video, make sure that you smash on my like button and make sure that you sub to the channel if you're not already a sub to the channel. Before we get into the video, like I said, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you haven't already hit it. Terence Bud Crawford has recently come off a tremendous victory versus Showtime Shawn Porter on pay-per-view. You know, Terence Crawford went out there, he did his thing, he suffered through some adversity, but he still came out with the stoppage win. Kenny Porter threw in the towel. A lot of people didn't feel how Kenny Porter threw in the towel, and it looked like that Shawn Porter still had a lot of fight left in him. But regardless, Terence Crawford did his thing, and you know, he did something that nobody has been able to do against Shawn Porter, and that's get the stoppage. Now, on the other hand, Errol Spence has been out with an eye injury, you know, and everybody's been wondering what Errol Spence is going to do when he comes back to the sport. Nobody knew who he was going to fight. A lot of people was calling him to fight Terence Crawford, coming off over a year-and-a-half layoff, you know, and only having one fight since 2019. And Errol Spence, you know, he kind of backed that. He said, hey, you know, when I come back, I don't want no tune-ups. I only want to fight for belts because it's strap season. But recently, we found out that Errol Spence is going to be fighting Yordenis Ugas for a strap. It is strap season, and they'll actually be fighting for 3 straps. The IBF, the WBC, and the WBA titles will be on the line. Title unification. So that leaves people asking, what is Terence Crawford going to do? Well, Terence Crawford has a man by the name of Jaron Boots Ennis that's been calling him out for a while now. Jaron Boots Ennis and his whole family has had things to say about Terence Crawford. We've even heard Jaron Boots Ennis' brother call Terence Crawford basically. You know, there's nothing special about him. He's had a lot to say about Terence Crawford. Also, Bozy Ennis has had things to say about Terence Crawford, and Jaron Boots Ennis, along with calling Terence Crawford out over and over, he's had things to say about Terence Crawford. Now, let me go ahead and play some footage of what they've had to say about Terence Crawford recently and in the past.
Crawford even more? Man, you want for from the beginning. I've been telling them from the rip. I've been telling them for years, man, that Boots can beat the boy. You know what I mean? He'll beat him anytime. You know what I mean? If you touch Crawford with any of that shit, that Porter hit him. You know what I mean? And when he switched southpaw, everybody always talking about he's southpaw. He's not no southpaw. If you watch him, you know what I mean? He's a right-handed fighter. You know what I mean? All he do, whether he's right-handed or he's southpaw, he only gonna throw that right hand. When he turns southpaw, he throw everything right hand. He never throw left hand. You know what I mean? So even when he switched southpaw, you know what I mean? So all that, man, he's an average fighter. He's an average fighter. He ain't powerful pound. You know what I mean? He's an average fighter, man. He's an average fighter.
So yeah, that was actually Jaron Boots and his brother right there, you know. And you see, they don't think much of Terence Crawford. That's why they've been calling Terence Crawford out for a long time now. And the man said that Terence Crawford is an average fighter. Now, do I agree with that? Absolutely not. I think that Terence Crawford is a great fighter. Now, do I agree with that he has a lot of holes in his game? They call him a switch hitter, but you never see him fight in the orthodox. He only fights in orthodox for a little bit. You know, he only fight in orthodox for probably like the first 2, maybe 3 rounds at the most, until he starts getting touched up, and then he turns southpaw and he never switches back. So yeah, you know, but is he a basic fighter? Absolutely not. But that's how they feel about him. Now, I'm gonna give you some more footage of what Jaron Boots Ennis and his pops had to say about him.
Our style is two different styles. Everybody keeps saying that because we both switch, but I really can fight right-handed and I can really fight left-handed. I feel like Terence Crawford, he fight right-handed for like 2 seconds and then he just turns southpaw for the rest of the fight. And I really can fight both ways. I'm naturally like that. And with everything I do, I'm naturally like that. And I got power in both hands on both sides, speed. defense, everything the same on both sides. Everything is equal on both sides. I'm not better than one on one side. Everything equal on both sides. But I feel like our style is two different styles, and like I said before, I really fight both sides.
You hear it from Jaron Boots Ennis, and he's telling y'all like Crawford really not a switch hitter once again, like everybody's saying he is. And he fights, southpaw, and he really don't switch from southpaw once he switches into southpaw. And he's telling y'all like, throughout the whole fight, I switch back and forth because it's natural. I don't even know when I do it. So he's went on in other interviews to say that he does everything better than Terence Crawford. He told y'all that he don't see Terence Crawford giving him no type of issues, right? Because he says that he does everything better than Terence Crawford. He's faster than Terence Crawford. He hits harder than Terence Crawford. He's really a switch hitter when Terence Crawford is not really a switch hitter. So that's just how they feel. And like I said, yeah, he's called out Errol Spence, but Errol Spence responded to the call out. Errol Spence actually talked to the man on the phone and let him know, hey, you know what I'm saying? You gonna see me, and when you see me, you gonna find out that you ain't ready for the big fish, right? We've never heard Terence Crawford respond to Jaron Boots Ennis call outs. Terence Crawford, we've heard him praise Jaron Boots Ennis and say how great of a fighter that he think he is, but he ain't never responded to that smoke. And Jaron Boots Ennis continuously is calling out, Terence Crawford. So now is the time. And I'm going to explain to y'all why now is the time. Because, see, Terence Crawford really ain't got nobody else to fight. You feel me? Keith Thurman, has a fight lined up. Virgil Ortiz has a fight lined up. Josh Taylor has a fight lined up. Errol Spence has a fight lined up. You know what I'm saying? And Jaron Boots Ennis has no fight lined up. Jaron Boots Ennis works with Cameron Duncan, so you can go do some business with Cameron Duncan and y'all can make that happen. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm hearing rumors that Terence Crawford want to sit on the sideline and wait for Keith Thurman. Well, if you do that, Keith Thurman got to fight in February, right? Now, we know how often these fighters fight. That means that Keith Thurman wouldn't come back, and he probably wouldn't fight until September. So if you wait for a Keith Thurman fight, that means that you'll be waiting on Keith Thurman all the way into September, right? Meaning that we won't see no Errol Spence fight in 2022. If you do that, that shows everybody that you're not wanting an Errol Spence fight because you sitting out waiting on Keith Thurman. What's the point of that? That knocks an Errol Spence fight all the way into 2023. And by that time, people losing interest in that fight. You feel me? Y'all got to fight this year. We've been waiting on this fight for so long, for too long. And a lot of people may say, it's Errol Spence's fault because he went and fought Ugas. Well, the whole point was for Errol Spence and Terence Crawford to fight for undisputed anyway. So that actually helps it out. Because if Errol Spence wasn't taking this fight with Yordenis Ugas, and he let Ugas go off into that tournament with that WBA belt, it would never be an undisputed. Because Yordenis Ugas would be tied up in that tournament for a couple of years. By that time, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence would have moved on to something new. You feel me? So Errol Spence is actually helping out the situation by getting Yordenis Ugas out of that tournament. Right? So if he beats Yordenis Ugas, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford can meet up for undisputed in 2022. But not if Terence Crawford waits for Keith Thurman. Not if he waits for Keith Thurman. You feel me? So Terence Crawford has nothing else to do but to make a big fight with Jaron Ennis. If you think that you like that, if you think that you could beat the young bull, face him, make a big fight. It ain't no other big fights out there for you to make. You know what I'm saying? In the meanwhile, that way you don't have to sit on the sideline and wait for no Keith Thurman or wait for no Josh Taylor. You can fight Jaron Boots Ennis. If you can beat him, then you can go straight into an Errol Spence fight, and it makes the Errol Spence fight a lot bigger because you would have knocked down the young bull that a lot of these dudes do not want to fight. And all of the Terence Bud Crawford fans, the BPC, the Bud Protection Committee, all y'all wanted Errol Spence to fight Jaron Boots. So what's wrong with Terence Crawford fighting Jaron Boots Ennis when he ain't got nothing else to do? Make it happen. Make the fight happen. Terence Crawford, Jaron Boots Ennis next. It makes all of the sense in the world, and it ain't nothing else for Terence Crawford to do. Make the fight happen. Anyway, y'all already know how I do. Let me know how y'all feel about Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis next in the comment section. How y'all feel about the things that Jaron Boots Ennis has had to say, in the past about Terence Crawford, and recently saying that, everything about his style is much better than Terence Crawford's style. Hit my like button. Sub to the channel if you haven't already subbed to the channel. There you go, talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.